Hey everybody, Dan here with Pain Free You. How full is your stress bucket? And so, it's a common theme in the mental health world. Hey Finn. Psst, psst. Finn, he's checking things out. So, relax a little bit, breathe. Hey buddy. I just gonna be a jerk and play with the trees. A fake tree. I know everybody likes when he makes an appearance. So, how full is your stress bucket? And in the mental health world, there's a lot of analogies and drawings. If you go to Google Images and look up stress bucket, there'll be pictures of a bucket and a whole bunch of stressors being poured into it, and some of them will have a spigot down on the bottom to let the stressors out. And it's an interesting concept because as we go through life, stressors happen. Now, as kids, a lot of us would play, we would run, we would do sports, we would hang out with other kids in the neighborhood. We would do a lot of things that would kind of offset maybe the stress that we had at school. But some of us don't really learn how to counterbalance that stress with soothing activities. And, when I say that, I even almost cringe. It's like, ooh, do you really want to do proactive soothing activities? Kind of sounds like fixing to me. So I think naturally as a kid in a non-chaotic environment, we might have some stress at school, we might get in trouble at home, but in general, there's enough offsetting I'm okay that nothing really bad happens, right? But as we get older, we start to learn that, I can't say this, I can't say that, those emotions are bad. We become more stressed out, more worried about what other people think, more self-judgmental, and then life starts happening, right? Grandparent dies, a parent dies, lost a job, have a kid, happy event, but still really stressful. Moving a house from one place to another, getting married. Like there's all sorts of life events that even some of the happy ones still put a pretty big heaping of water into that stress bucket. But all the little things add to the stress bucket. So one of the reasons why we feel emotions is because we're supposed to. We're human. We are emotional beings. And if we get angry with something, we're supposed to feel it so it can pass, but don't judge ourselves and don't linger on the story. But if you're chronically getting upset at things and then pushing it away, we're pouring a little bit of water into that stress bucket with each of these emotions that we're kind of pushing away. And it builds up. And the self-judgment, a little more in the bucket. The life stressors, more in the bucket. Difficult people in our lives, more in the bucket. And eventually it can slowly reach the top and overflow gently. Sometimes we have what I refer to in the mind-body space as a scare event, a big thing, a car accident, a dental procedure that didn't go so well, a medical procedure that was quite scary, perhaps even some medical testing that gave us a result that was really scary, an illness, whether it be COVID or something else. And if the bucket is already up towards the top, dumping that half a gallon of water in from this scare event causes it to overflow. And some people go, I don't get it. I haven't had any symptoms. And then all of a sudden things went nuts. Well, I think sometimes it has to do with the amount of, or how big that event is that caused it to overflow. The bigger the event, the more water goes into the bucket and the more, vigorous the overflow is. As opposed to little dribs and drabs and things can kind of come on slowly. But then once we have symptoms, we get caught up in the medical system. We start going doctor, treatment, nothing's working, what's wrong? Now I'm sick, what does this mean about my future? More fear, more stress, more things going into the bucket. So a lot of times people say, Dan, I'm doing the things, it's not working. Okay. So how are we emptying the bucket? And a lot of people misinterpret that my entire program is walking around saying, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. And it couldn't be farther from that. I mean, because if you think of it this way, you got a big bucket, 5-gallon bucket from Home Depot, and it's full and it's overflowing. Walking around saying I'm safe is like trying to scoop the water out with a little baby teaspoon, right? Tiny. It's going to take you forever. And most likely, the water's going in way faster than you can scoop it out by walking around saying I'm safe, right? So there's more to it. Sometimes we start to do the processes. Hey, it's a mind-body. I heard about TMS. Let me start journaling. Let me do somatic tracking. Let me do meditation or breath work. I'm doing the things, but I'm doing it with the intention of fixing. So we're going through the emotion, or going through the motions, but we're not authentically creating safety, are we? And going through the motions is kind of like trying to ladle out the water in the stress bucket with something like this, where there's holes in it. So as you try to scoop out the water, it's leaking right back in because of the pressure that we're putting on ourselves to do this fixing activity properly so that the symptoms turn off. So you see, ladling too small with that tiny spoon doesn't work. And if we're going through the motions, simply trying to get rid of our symptoms, we're not creating safety, and the stress water overflow is staying in the bucket. All right, so what would be useful? Clarity. You know what clarity looks like? A big ladle scoop out of the bucket. When you really understand what creates symptoms and that you're not actually broken, now you're ladling with something that'll work. It'll get a lot of water out with each time you do it. And with consistency, what's going to happen? You're going to stop that bucket, which is continually getting new stressors put into it. But if you're ladling out with clarity, certainty, confidence, being less bothered, you're getting rid of it faster than it's coming back in. And so I know this analogy seems a little bit weird, and it seems like a lot of overthinking on my part, but in general, going through the motions, walking around saying a statement you don't believe, I'm safe, not the answer. We have to create the safety with clarity, certainty, learning to calmly reassure ourselves, discounting all of the nocebos and medical jargon or labels we may have heard that are incorrect because we've done the analysis with the assessments. Chapter 6 of the book, full long assessment there. That's a great place to go. There's a downloadable version of it to people who bought the book. And if you don't have the book yet, go to isthispdp.com, do the FIT assessment on that page. Right, but get clarity, because when you have clarity, man, you're scooping out, half a cup each time. Because otherwise, if you're going through the motions, you're leaving a lot in the bucket. And if you're just walking around with a statement that you don't believe, you're barely getting anything moving. So the stress bucket, it is a common terminology in the mental health world. And there's all sorts of things that get put into the bucket on a regular basis. Could be a comment somebody made to you. Could be a belief we have about ourselves. Could be a life change, new relationship, new job, new house, baby, marriage. Many of those things are happy events, but they're still stressful. So ask yourself, what are the things that are pouring stress, aka danger, also known as danger? So we got a danger bucket. And if we're walking around fearfully thinking about everything we've ever heard about, every possible symptom and disease and what it could be that the doctors are missing, we're dumping pitchers full of danger into that bucket, and it keeps on overflowing, right? So one of the things we want to get a hold of is our own thinking. When our thoughts happen that way, and we have fearful thoughts, which is perfectly normal and natural for somebody who's experiencing a lot of symptoms, once we've done the research, we understand what causes the symptoms and that you're dealing with a mind-body condition, not a body problem, then it becomes really important for us to notice those scary thoughts, but let them float by. We don't have to take them seriously. And what that says is when those scary thoughts come along and say, I'm going to pour something in that bucket, by saying, no, we're not paying attention to that because we've done the research, we know what's going on, that causes that scary thought not to dump anything into the bucket. So the less we believe our own scary thinking, the less that bucket is filling up, and the less we've got to scoop out on a regular basis to keep symptom free or to start lowering the symptoms. So I kind of like the analogy of, filling the bucket with stress, danger, not intentionally, but that's kind of lifey, but intentionally, with clarity as to what's going on, being less and less bothered, scoop, 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 understanding what's going on, gradually resuming activity, starting to shift our attention more towards living life, scoop, scoop, and less fixing, which is dumping more in because we're now doing it with the intention of I'm broken and I got to fix. So ask yourself this question. Are the things I'm thinking, doing, saying, how I'm behaving, am I pouring more danger into that bucket? Or am I ladling it out in large quantities? And if you're pouring a lot of danger in, but you're using this little tiny spoon to ladle it out, it's tough to catch up because so much is coming in that this isn't going to keep up with potentially all of the dangers that are coming in from life, from work, from finances, from partnerships, from you name it. So I like the analogy of dangers going in, we've got to eliminate it with safety. So I don't know. How full is your bucket? And if you kind of feel like you're at the edge and you're terrified of symptoms coming back because you've gotten rid of them, but you're still up here, keep ladling, folks. Safety, safety, safety. But I hope this analogy was useful. I was playing a little bit with the idea that the water's in the bucket, the water's the danger, and we can displace it by a big safety rock and put it in. We get enough safety rocks in there, it'll displace all that danger water. But that didn't really make sense because then we're still filling up that stress bucket. So scrap that analogy. We've got to empty the stress bucket. And whether that means sitting out in nature is kind of like turning on the spigot at the bottom of the bucket and letting some water run out of it. Beautiful. Taking a nice walk. Beautiful. Being less afraid of symptoms. Responding calmly. More water coming out. Whether you open up the spigot or you ladle it out, doesn't matter. The concept is the same. If danger is all this stuff going into the bucket and it's overflowed and you now have symptoms, and then your fear of the symptoms, even though you know it's TMS and perceived danger, the fear of the symptoms keeps on putting more and more danger in because we are confirming the fact that we're in danger. And so we want to ladle it out, scoop it out, right? Scoop it out. Open up the spigot on the bottom. Problem is, the more danger you put in, the faster it overflows. And so, safety. Let's empty that bucket. Unfortunately, there's no way to empty it in one sitting. It takes time, consistency, patience, clarity, certainty, confidence. The results will compound. As you start doing more, you'll realize I can do more. As you start feeling safer, you'll start smiling more, which creates more safety. It's not just one thing. If you think walking around saying I'm safe is going to get the job done, you're working with a baby tiny teaspoon and you're not really ladling out all the danger. So, a little bit of a silly analogy, but hopefully it kind of put a few things into perspective. Let me know your thoughts. Comment below. If you're not a member or a subscriber yet to the YouTube channel, click the red button, subscribe, click the bell button to get notified. If you're on Facebook, make sure to like, share. If you haven't gotten the book yet, Pain Free You Book will bring you to the Amazon USA site, or just go to your regional Amazon site. And if you'd like some help implementing and getting better faster than you might on your own, consider the group coaching. painfreeyougroup.com. We run 4 Zoom sessions a week. You can come in and out as you need to. Kind of view it as open office hours to come in and get some coaching from yours truly. We have some great conversations. You can learn from other people's questions and the answers. Why? We all have the same root cause, a brain perceiving danger, which means we all have a same solution, which is conveying safety and emptying that danger bucket. So, love you folks. Hope you found this useful. And as always, we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.